Wednesday mornings at this time, we check in with the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital. It is the Blacklocks Reporter. It is absolutely worth a look at blacklocks.ca and a subsequent subscription because you get the stories there that you don't get everywhere else. Tom Korski is the managing editor with Blacklocks Reporter, joins us for this conversation every week. Tom, good morning.
Morning, Mike.
Chrystia Freeland is out of her own accord, I presume. What will the legacy be of our former finance minister, Tom?
Oh, I can think of 1 trillion legacies, which is the amount she increased the federal debt ceiling. We actually have one of those. It's under the Borrowing Authority Act. And in 3 years, Minister Freeland raised the debt ceiling by $1 trillion. That is equal to approximately about 40%, about half of the entire annual production of the entire Canadian economy. It is the biggest spending spree in Canadian history. It admittedly includes some overspending unavoidable in the lockdown days. But in her last budget, Minister Freeland missed her deficit target by 55% for no apparent reason. They couldn't stop, Mike. They just couldn't stop. And anyone who is of an age who remembers the overspending in the 1980s, there's been peer-reviewed research on this. The subsequent tax load affected lifetime earnings for those of us who were in the workforce in 1980-81. And if you know a young wage earner today, say a silent prayer for them. My goodness, they are going to be paying the interest on those bonds for the rest of their working lives. I'm sorry to be that grim this early in the morning, Mike.
Well, Tom, you got to be realistic, too. And Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has said that maybe Ms. Freeland is getting the heck out of Dodge before the deficit number and the budget is released in November. Maybe there's something to that.
I think she also found the transport assignment, Minister of Transport, a sort of demeaning. She would be the first Rhodes Scholar to be Minister of Transport. She's not really an expert in trucking. And even then, there was not, her tenure was not without controversy. You recall the Commons Transport Committee is curious to know why the taxpayers were financing a $1 billion loan for the construction of 4 ferries at a Chinese shipyard for use by the BC Ferry Service, a Crown corporation. All taxpayers are financing that. And Freeland, when testified in committee just this past July, said she was shocked to learn that there was such an arrangement. Only later did everyone learn that her department knew about that for months. So you see, this is the thing about transparency. It's always a cold north wind, isn't it?
Well, I guess Ms. Freeland wouldn't have to worry about the budget and the deficit number contained therein anyway, because according to the government House leader, as we got back into the House of Commons this week, Tom, the opposition should just do its job and not oppose the budget when it's released.
Wouldn't life be sweeter if all our tormentors would just do what they were told? Government House Leader Stephen McKinnon, hoping and dreaming. You're right. He was talking to reporters. He said, we have a mandate. We're going to lead. Get out of our way. Just vote as you're told. Never mind the criticism. Unfortunately for Stephen McKinnon, and I assume this was performative for the home team in front of the cameras, but he knows that they don't have the votes in committee, including the Commons Finance Committee. The government does not have a majority of votes in any committee, and he is not getting his budget through without the votes in the Commons Finance Committee, and that applies to all other bills. This budget, by the way, Mike, coming up November 4th, that deficit is just going to be a dandy. On their best day, they predicted $42 billion. And people in the know have said, you can just double that. Those are staggering figures.
Stop being so grim/realistic, Tom. It's early. It's early still. That cold north wind that you referenced earlier of transparency is blowing through the Governor General's residence. But how much is it that we are spending just to outfit the Governor General?
She billed $7,500 last year. Another $7,500. She's billed as much as $36,000 in an 18-month period. This included almost $1,200 for new shoes last year. Apparently, the Governor General didn't own footwear. Why is this significant? MPs have told her you must stop the spending. The Commons Government Operations Committee has pleaded with the Governor General to stop the spending, and she won't stop. There's been outrage after Mary Simon took a $1 million junket to Dubai 3 years ago, and they got caught. The in-flight catering on this junket alone was $93,000. And some sad news here, Mike. The then Deputy Secretary to Mary Simon, her name was Christine McIntyre. She broke the iron law of Ottawa. Mike, if you're ever summoned to testify in committee, you can have a terrible memory. I don't remember, never lie, because they will find out. And Ms. McIntyre said, whoa, in-flight catering, we just ate regular airplane food. MPs found out later it was Beaujolais and beef Wellington. And so the moral there is, if you get caught, you're going to have to wear it. And this is across all parties. They've been fed up with Mary Simon for a long, long time.
Beaujolais and beef Wellington. I had that on my last Air Canada flight to Vancouver, I think, didn't I?
I don't remember that. Isn't that what you order on your 40th wedding anniversary?
You're right. I don't remember. I should have said, you already taught me. I forgot the lesson so quickly. Okay, one more before I let you go, Tom. In our business, when we follow the news and stories, develop over time, it's like the gift that keeps on giving. But never have I ever recalled a story about a little $80,000 app, Tom. It was just an $80,000 federal government expenditure, but ArriveCan is still the gift that keeps on giving to folks like the Blacklocks reporter.
Almost $60 million it wound up costing. Isn't that something? France had an identical app. They only spent $9 million. We were, I guess, 5 times better. $60 million we spent on that app. And there was a lead contractor who's now under RCMP investigation. The police raided their offices for suspicion of fraudulent billing. There were emails that vanished. And a man who was at the time Chief Information Technology Officer for Canada had email contacts with the lead contractor. And on a Thursday, he was told, Min Doan was his name, Mr. Doan, get those emails ready. Someone wants to see them under access to information. That weekend, according to the official version, I was transferring the batteries into my laptop, and I corrupted my entire emails, destroyed the emails. Problem, that's a felony. It's punishable by jail time under the Access to Information Act. Mike, an investigative report is due on that by year's end. That's a big, big deal. Many chickens are coming home to roost. Isn't it just like testifying before a committee? You're just supposed to say I can't remember. My memory's it's just foggy. Mike, never do anything you wouldn't do in the town square on broad daylight. If you just follow that simple rule, but they don't listen. No one listens. We listen to you every Wednesday morning, Tom. Keep up the great work at Blacklocks. Thank you, Mike. Tom Korski, managing editor of the Blacklocks Reporter, the only reporter-owned and operated newsroom covering our nation's capital without the politics or the punditry. And I just want to come back. Look, of all the things we talked about, that $80,000 ArriveCan app that ends up costing $60 million. That's well documented, but the story just keeps on going deeper. And as Tom says, there are many chickens coming home to roost. Then you've got the $1 trillion debt ceiling, the massive deficit. We will learn in November. Of course we will. It's not going to be a pretty financial picture. But I always come back to some of the littler things. And maybe it's because in my advancing years, I've come to quite enjoy a good pair of shoes. But how is it that our Governor General, despite pleas from our members of Parliament to stop with the spending, Tom documented that flight and the fancy foods that were provided within, but more than $1,100 just on shoes, thousands in total of wardrobe extras, because you see, when it's not your money, it is so much easier to spend. But that nickel and diming really does chafe my chaps. It gets to me, and Blacklocks reporter talks about it as the $1,117 in new shoes, in addition to thousands worth of wardrobe extras. We are in dire need, MPs say, of more transparency, that cold north wind that continues to blow through
Ottawa. Tom Korski and the Black Lots reporter joining us every Wednesday morning at 10 here on the Mike Farwell Show.